There was a time when an HBO movie could become the thing everybody was talking about. And in 1998, that movie was Gia. Equal parts fashion story, love story, and a cautionary tale. It gave us Angelina Jolie's breakout role. Today, we're diving into Gia.
Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. And this week, we are revisiting the 1998 TV movie Gia. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's how you can.
Did you know that sharing your thoughts with a review, rating, or comment can supercharge our podcast's reach? If you're eager to help us skyrocket and be part of the excitement, hop over to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you groove to podcasts and leave us a note.
All right, Jackie. Well, Gia is about one of what they're considering the first supermodel of the
Don't
80s.
tell Janice Dickinson,
I know she gets super mad,
though.
but fresh off of a bus from Philadelphia with a leather jacket, a rebellious streak, and enough confidence to stop an entire photo shoot, Gia Carangi arrives in New York determined to become a model. She's discovered by legendary agent Wilhelmina Cooper and launched into the fashion stratosphere. As her career skyrockets, she struggles with loneliness, addiction, and the pressures of being the hottest face in fashion. Along the way, she finds love with makeup artist Linda, battles personal demons, and discovers that fame can't fix a broken heart. The movie stars Angelina Jolie, Faye Dunaway, Elizabeth Mitchell, Mercedes Ruehl, Kylie Travis, and Eric Michael Cole. The movie was directed by Michael Christopher and written by Michael Christopher and Jay McKierney.
You got
You
it.
can okay, you can currently watch the movie on HBO Max. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So, you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again,
The best would play on repeat.
5 day rental,
Would watch again.
2 day rental,
Ah, okay, but nothing to write home about.
and same day rental.
Trash. Straight up garbage.
So, Danielle, what was your Y2K rating of Gia?
I remember watching it and thinking it was really good at the time. But I don't remember much. And when I rewatched it, I realized I don't remember shit. So I'm gonna go 2 day rental because I like just didn't remember much. What about you?
I had this on DVD. No one could tell me nothing. So, we were an HBO family.
Right.
And Gia came out 1998. I was 16 or about to
Hmm.
be 16. And it was like enough salacious material to like pique my interest, like the nudity and the lesbian lovers, and then like the drug use and the illnesses and the model industry. Like baby Jackie was into it. So would buy for Y2K me.
I do want to, like, as historians of the time,
Yes.
people who didn't watch it in real time, an HBO doc movie at that time was just as big as like some of the number one movies at the box office. Like,
Yes.
and this movie racked up on awards and it really, really put Angelina Jolie's name on everyone's tongue. It wasn't her first movie. She had done a bunch of stuff before this, but this was like, I think, what led to what's the movie she did with Winona Ryder?
Girl
Girl
interrupted.
Interrupted. Like
Hmm.
that put her on that trajectory for sure. Everyone thought she was the actress
Yes.
after this movie. So this movie came out January 31st, 1998, and it had a $7.9 million budget. We know that this is a TV movie, so there is not a box office per se. I'm not sure what the viewership was at this time, but okay. So the film became one of HBO's most acclaimed original movies of the late 90s and helped establish HBO as a destination for prestige television films. I remember like because it was this, I think the Dorothy Dandridge movie with
Hmm.
Halle Berry came out and it was
Angels
like
in
right
America was, I think,
that
slightly later, but another very
that
big.
yes, that one was huge. So, a lot of really good prestige TV at that time. The critics called the film quite watchable while highlighting Jolie's compelling presence in the lead role. And that's from The Advocate. And filmcritic.com gave the movie a middling review, praising Jolie's commitment while finding the overall film less successful than its lead performance. So, let we can before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
Hello, kids of the 80s, 90s, and beyond. Radical Ryan Hunter here from the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. Join me along with everyone's favorite brother, David, and the movie geek Rob every Friday as we discuss everything from movies, TV, video games, music, action figures, and more. Every week's another adventure. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most podcasting platforms. Hope to see you there, radical ones.
So, cast and crew, Mila Kunis plays the teenage version of Gia Carangi in the film. The role was one of her earliest major screen appearances.
And I think they did good. She looks like a
Yeah.
younger Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie said about her character Gia, when she's free and just being herself, she's unbelievable. That's the tragedy of her story. You think, God, she didn't need drugs. She was a drug. And I think that's why Angelina playing this role was just so perfect
Hmm.
because I think she embodied the essence of who Gia was or how people described like how contagious she was essentially. Like
Yeah.
people wanted to be around her and almost to the detriment of herself because it's like the fashion industry kind of sucked her dry. Nobody
Hmm.
was really prioritizing her physical and mental health.
Right. Angelina Jolie also said that she originally rejected the role, admitting she knew it would really mess with me and drive me a bit nuts to be that open. And when she first began her research and saw a 2020 interview in which Gia had the adult speech of a junkie, Jolie hated her. But later, after throwing herself deep into the role, she said, "I'd like to date Gia. I'd want to be her lover."
And you can briefly see Angelina Jolie's brother, James Haven, leaning up against the wall in the beginning of the film when she and TJ are going into the tattoo parlor. So, all right. I will say a lot of trigger warnings,
Yes.
first and foremost, and this movie was very heavy.
Yes. This is biographic, so it is based on the life of Gia. She passed away at age 26, and she dealt with a lot of mental health issues and drug abuse, which led to her contracting AIDS. So, if any of that is triggering to you, go find a safer episode for you. But let's jump in. So, this movie was rewatching it. I was like, oh, this really doesn't have the meat and potatoes I want in a biography. Like, we kind of just skim the surface of all of like the issues without really diving into what is or what are Gia's triggers, who like were people trying to help her in this situation, you
Yeah.
know. So it starts out and it's a recollection of family and friends who knew her, and they did speak to her family and friends. And let me find
The vibe of the movie feels like part music video, part documentary.
with a jazz overlay. Like I'm like, what
Girl,
is with the saxophone?
You know how the saxophones are trending on TikTok right
Yes.
now? That's all this all this movie was. I was just like, what? And it made me wonder if like her mom is very much featured in the movie, and her dad and brothers are kind of there, but like you don't really get their perspective at all,
Hmm.
and you hear a little bit from the dad towards the end. So I'm curious if maybe like her real life brothers and dad didn't give too much information because you see
Yeah.
her going home a few times, but mainly to her mother and not to her her dad. So I don't know if it's just speaking to that her mother was more of a like a trigger
Yeah.
for stuff.
And like you said, I didn't really remember much other than like the big fashion sets and of course like her rolling around naked on a chain link fence and stuff. Um, but as the movie started, like even the first scene where it's little baby Mila Kunis playing young Gia and establishing her really strong relationship with her mom, and they're like, "I do be the prettiest girl." It all came screaming back to me. I was like, "Wow, I did watch this movie a lot because I remember all of this."
It's funny because now we have all these psychology terms into the everyday layman terms
Hmm.
mixed together. So we have more language for some of the things that they're showcasing. Like her mom, very early on, you could tell is a narcissist, probably a little
And
delusional.
living her life via her
Yes,
daughter.
vicariously through her
Yeah.
daughter for sure. And so we learn pretty early on that Gia's mom, she wants to be hot in the streets. She wants to be out in the town.
Yep.
And her and her husband get in fights. Gia's watching her brother, his brother's not so much. And the next day you see Gia's mom leaves. And it's almost like she does not she's not there for Gia later. I'm not sure what the relationship is if she just leaves because we see as she gets older, she's kind of stalking her mom, looking at her mom.
Hmm.
And when she first sees her mom, it's like her mom doesn't recognize her at first, which is wild. Could
Yeah.
you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we see it quickly cuts to like little girl Gia to this rocker rebellion punk Gia working in like some sort of deli in Philadelphia. She befriends this man named TJ. And it's
Immediately confused.
yeah, because like there are conversations where Gia's like, I don't like dick.
Right.
Yet she's flirting with and making out with TJ like the whole time.
But then TJ is gay. So
Is he?
I
I
that's what
thought
I thought.
she got him and the other guy in the heat of the moment to make out.
That's why I
Yeah.
said, hey, you know,
I
it,
think that scene was just alluding to like how effervescent she was is like people would just do
whatever
whatever
she
she
asked of.
wanted them to do.
Well, back then
Uh,
we didn't understand the fluidity of things. So
yes.
now I'm like, oh, okay. But girl, you couldn't tell me that they were in a lavender marriage together. I didn't know.
And we're not trying to yuck anyone's yum. We're just from the perspective of storytelling, it was very confusing.
Yeah, like I wasn't. Again, it was a log music video. If you look
Yes.
at the context of this video, movie from that viewpoint, I think helps a lot. It's a stylized
Just
music video.
flashes of story. It's not even, I mean, it's linear in the sense that like time is progressing in a linear fashion,
Yeah.
but the scenes that are chosen are not cohesive in any manner.
I do agree with the critics that the thing that saved the movie was the performances. Everybody was, held their own.
Yes.
Like I don't feel like I can find a weakest link per se. Um, her having a knife and being the baddest bitch, I believe it. Have y'all met somebody from Philly?
But
Hmm.
I holla Tim. Philadelphia, lovely town. I was just there in March. But you know someone who's from Philly. Like there is no doubt in your mind when you meet them that they are from Philly.
Look, I was showing my British cousins were here, and we were showing them how unhinged the Philadelphia fans are when I'm like, this
Yep.
is what they do when they win. I showed them a video of them tearing up the city when the Eagles won, and I said, and this is what they do when they lose. I showed a video of them tearing up the city. I said, and here's a video of the mayor when they won, begging them, please.
Greasing up streetlights. When we were in Philly, we stayed at the Ritz, and Tim's like, see those awnings? Like, the Ritz is a gorgeous old bank in
Hmm.
downtown Philly. He's like, see the beautiful Ritz awnings? People were on top of them. Like, not the sanctity of the, like historical structures.
And let me just say, I don't be talking shit
No.
about people from Philadelphia. I slander New Jersey all the time. There's certain parts I don't fuck with though. Trenton, I see you. But I will say, as a New Yorker, I'm waiting with bated breath about the Knicks being in the finals right now because they said since the Knicks got into the playoffs, crime has been down because everybody watching the games.
So we see Gia working in Philly. She has a form of Liberty Spikes, not totally, but she's almost there. And she's just a rebellious free spirit, is like probably the best way to put it. She gives no fucks. She has opinions and isn't afraid to share them. Like you said, she got an edge and a knife.
And a lot of mommy issues. So
Yes.
like it's funny because in a way she doesn't understand some people's response to her. Like,
Mm,
you know, her she goes she has a meeting with Wilhelmina. She goes to the agency when she gets to New York because her and oh boy moved to New York together.
hmm.
And they don't really even show that process of like how she meets Wilhelmina or whatever, but
No.
she gets there, she says she has an appointment, and the lady at the front is so rude to her about her having an appointment. And once she's waiting for her very first photo shoot, she's outside, and the other models put like nickels and dimes, I don't know, change in her
Yeah.
coffee because they think she looks like a homeless person. And so she just doesn't understand like this modeling world.
Hmm. But
So she's
she's
kind of,
because she's very much like on the androgynous side, and like
yeah.
at that time she was still kind of in her punk aesthetic, and like the modeling world was so polished, so like, and we get a scene about it from Wilhelmina. Is it Wilhelmina, or like at least her firm, and they're like boring, boring, boring. They're all blonde,
No,
blonde
it's
hair.
Vogue. That's
Oh,
later.
Vogue. Okay.
Yeah.
Where they're like everything is just the fucking same as they're like
Yeah.
scrolling through models, and then you get to Gia and it's like, yes, like this is what we need. We need something different, something striking, something that's going to take your breath away. I do love that scene where she walks into Wilhelmina's office and like the secretary's not giving her the time of day, and finally she just whips her knife out, is like carves her name into the desk. I was like, do you think you can remember that?
Right.
And the secretary's like, I'm about to get stabbed. Let me
Right.
go get Wilhelmina.
100%. And I like the relationship she has with Wilhelmina.
It was the mother figure that she always craved for. It was her
Right.
safe space. Wilhelmina understood her in a way that no one else really did.
Yeah, so she would call her in the middle of the night, like her first shoot, she was very nervous, and but I do think Wilhelmina could have been a little bit more protective. But I think there's like a balance too, because back
Right.
then we weren't having these conversations about taking care of ourselves and work-life balance. The 80s was excess and capitalism to the
Yep.
to the T. So no one really understood that, like, I don't know, working endlessly. And she
And
was young. She
yeah,
she had to be what? She was,
I think she was 19 when she
yeah,
moved
yeah,
to New
to New
York.
York.
And also like drugs were just accessible. Like no one batted an eye that she's like doing cocaine before a photo shoot or
Yeah, they were
like
all doing it.
yeah.
And that's and her and you could see the gateway to the harder drugs.
Hmm.
And that was all caused by the environment of the fashion industry of
Yep.
like going from like coke to
Yeah.
crack rock,
The
to the
heroin.
pipe to heroin,
Yeah.
when it wasn't available to her. And it was just so easy and accessible. And I
Yeah.
still think to this day, people are definitely riding the slopes. I'm seeing cocaine use a lot more
Danielle.
with younger people than I ever thought. Like, I don't know when coke became a thing again.
I don't either.
And like crack too. I'm like, the babies ain't learning.
No. Anyway. So yeah, not only did Gia have like parental trauma from her mom,
Hmm.
she almost definitely, at least based on what I see in this movie, she had some sort of mental health issues that were never explored, which also, if you don't get treatment for that, most often you are going to self medicate in some way.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the drugs make you even more erratic
Yeah,
than just having a mental health issue. So it's just like unfortunately, a cyclical thing with Gia where she'll be good and she'll be charming and she'll be herself. And then she spirals down into that drug and mental health decline. And then isolate people and alienate people. But then when she's good again, she's so charming and so charismatic that she sucks you back in.
right. Well, her character, like you said, was like probably 19, 20 because they
Mhm.
said Angelina Jolie was 22 years old when this movie premiered. So making her only a few years older than Gia was during much of the period depicted in the film. So she was very young. And usually with like bipolar or even schizophrenia,
Mhm.
the onset usually you start to see signs at 18 at
Yeah.
least. So,
And I will say, Angelina Jolie as an actor is
mhm,
just fabulous. Like, I don't think I can think of a role, no matter how small, like going into Hackers, one of her first films, like
mhm.
she embodies whatever character she's playing and like she is so believable. I really enjoy her as an actor.
I do too. The only miss for me is when she was cosplaying a brown Muslim lady that one time, and I was
Yes.
like, what are we doing, Angelina?
Yes.
Why are you doing that? That was the only time I legit gave her side eye because I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's great.
So
Where are we now?
so we start to see she's starting to book photo shoots immediately. Photographers are captivated by her. That shoot with the chain link fence.
This is like one of her bigger shoots. It starts off as it looked like a catalog magazine.
Hmm.
When she rolls up into the club, when she rolls up in there, this is when she first meets the love of her life, who is
Linda.
Linda, the
Yeah.
makeup artist, played by Elizabeth Mitchell. And as much as we loved Lost, I totally forgot she was in this movie. Yeah. And so, yeah, she has the regular photo shoot, and then the whole time the photographer is saying word vomit nonsense,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Who wants to get creative?" And the creative thing is nakedness.
Yeah.
Boy, bye.
Yeah.
And Gia's like, "Sure, let's do this."
As long as Linda stays.
And Linda's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Linda, girl."
And I love the dichotomy of the costuming between Gia and Linda because Gia is just wear what she wants to wear. A lot of times, like no bra tank tops, just very, very Gia. And then Linda is so buttoned up in like pantsuits and chinos and like vests. And I'm like, they cannot look more different. But like Linda, there's something about Gia and Linda who is in
A committed
a
relationship with a
committed,
man.
yeah, but she's still sleeping with Gia on the side.
Well, I don't know. I don't, I think because like it was just so looked down upon about being
Hmm.
gay and a lesbian that I think a lot of people, especially white women, were taught that they could have like when they go to college, they can have like a lesbian experience, but at the
Hmm.
end of the day, you still gotta go marry that man.
Yeah.
I'm taking that from just like seeing it so much portrayed in movies when we were growing up in that
Oh,
way. I just feel like for a lot of people, it just they suppressed and hid.
hmm.
And so, yeah, she was like, okay, I'm gonna have this boyfriend. I don't know what this is with Gia, but I can't stay away from her.
Hmm.
So much so that her boyfriend is like, Gia kept sending her yellow
The
roses.
yellow roses is fucking wild. And you know what? I had a realization
Mm,
because for a while I had like convinced myself that I loved yellow roses.
okay,
And it
why?
was probably from like 16 to like 20. And I think it was from this movie. I don't know why.
But doesn't yellow roses symbolize friendship?
Yes. But I don't think
Yeah,
Gia was looking into the symbolism of
I don't
roses.
think so either. So yeah, her and Linda go back to her place after the erotic chain link fence
Was
photo
like there
girl,
was
I don't
lots of
know.
flinging and spinning.
You, she does a lot of spinning in this movie.
She really does. And it was like because we come from the world of America's Next Top Model, and none of those poses would be acceptable. Like she was like hunched over, her face wasn't like even towards the camera as she's like spinning I'm like, what is happening right now? I don't think the photographer even had film in his camera.
He didn't. He just loved to see naked ladies.
Yes.
But Gia took Linda home
Yep.
and they made love. And the next morning, Linda's like, I gotta go about my life. And this is where we're seeing again Gia having that separation anxiety of being
And
left.
abandonment issues. Yeah.
It was just like it's a neediness. Like she
Hmm.
constantly wanted to have the somebody with her.
Yes.
And Linda's like, I gotta go. Gia is full out naked. There's an elevator coming. People are seeing. She don't care, but she's really sad that Linda leaves. In the interim, as she's going through her model career, she's got Wilhelmina, but her mom starts to make a presence and come and visit her. And you can
Mhm.
see Gia's looking for her mother's approval. You know,
I was so angry on behalf of Gia when her mom comes to the city and she's like, "This is my apartment, blah, blah, blah." Like, I haven't had a chance to like really move in or make it home. And her mom is like, uh, like, do you know how expensive an apartment in New York City is? Like that is a nice size apart. Look, she has a full-time size stove. Like you don't get that very often in New York City. Like I was so mad for Gia because it was just like all she wanted was her mom to be like, "Yeah, I'm proud of you. Like you did good, kid." And
right. And
all she got was criticism.
I don't like, honestly, that was the only scene where I felt like her mom did criticize her. But the rest of the scenes, you could tell her mom only cared about the prestige and like being
Hmm.
able to show off,
Yeah.
essentially. But at least she was coming, like she would stay a week or 2 weeks. And she's like, Gia would tell me everything about the matter. Like, so it was less about Gia and more about the lifestyle, I think,
Yes.
of everything. And we do have a scene where, Gia's mom is remarried and she's like, I gotta go home.
Hmm.
And like, instead of having a conversation about why is my daughter who she's like, you have to be a big girl, you're a big girl, like, what are you doing? But why is my daughter reacting this way? There's no
Right.
curiosity to it. And Gia like kicks her out. If you're gonna leave, fine. And there are inserts from when she's being interviewed, the mom's being interviewed, and she talks about like how Gia never focused on the past. They never talked about the past. So she's like saying that everything was okay, and she liked that. She liked that they could just move past, obviously, the abandonment that she
Hmm.
did. And so a lot of her interviews or her talking during the movie is showing like just how self-involved she is
Hmm.
and lacks accountability.
Yeah.
And Gia doesn't really confront her about her relationship with her mom until she goes to rehab, I think the second time.
Yeah. And she goes to stay with her for a while,
Well, the
right?
mom talks about how when Gia was in rehab, how they called her to like come, and Gia was talking about her issues with her mom, and she was just kind of annoyed that why are they bringing up old shit.
Hmm.
So that her mom was something to behold for sure.
And we see Gia increase her drug use as she's getting more and more notoriety as being a supermodel. Probably long shoots, no time off, and like got to keep perky somehow. But towards the beginning, it seems to be fairly manageable. Like she's just doing it like as a quick pick me up before a photo shoot or something like that.
Yeah.
Where she really starts to spiral is the death of Wilhelmina. So we find out Wilhelmina has lung cancer. She's in the hospital and ends up passing away. And this is where Gia just spirals because her only safe space is now gone.
Right. So before Wilhelmina even passes away, what ends up happening is that we're watching how the modeling agency was working when people were booking. And so Gia was booked out like the girl barely had any time to breathe. Like they
Hmm.
were booking her and booking her. And she said that maybe she needs a break. She alluded to that.
Hmm.
And Wilhelmina at the time was like, no, no, don't, not now. So you see Wilhelmina really didn't have her best interests at heart. And then while she's visiting Wilhelmina in the hospital before she does pass, you see this other agent guy trying to like pick at her the carcass
Yeah.
before it's even dead about trying to get her to switch from Wilhelmina. And she's like, why would I leave to. But Wilhelmina does die, and her husband, it looks like, takes over, and then the care that was even slightly there is
Hmm.
removed. And like you said, Gia starts to progressively take more drugs. And her first attempt at rehab or like slowing down is when she does switch to this new agent.
Hmm.
He tells her to have like an interview with, I think it's 2020, and they interview her family, and she has to say that she was taking drugs and she's not anymore. I'm not sure if she actually goes to rehab, but like this is where she has to say that she's not doing drugs.
And it seemed like everyone believes she's been clean at least for a little while because
Yeah.
that was like kind of the stipulation of going under this new management. But we see right before the interview, Linda catches her in the bathroom
Yeah.
snorting cocaine. And then I think this is the interview that Angelina Jolie alludes to, where it's just how erratic Gia is talking, and it's just kind of talking in circles and not really making
Yeah.
any sense. It's like, oh, she's obviously not clean, like she
Yeah.
maintains.
At one point, Elizabeth says that, you need to get clean. Like she's showing up at Linda's house. She sees Linda's boyfriend is there. She she sees that the boyfriend is there and he's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
This your friend? And then they start making out with each other and he's like, whoa, what the hell going on? And the way that she like Gia just pushes back past him like she would beat him up if she could or if she wanted to. She probably could.
Mm.
And from there on, like we eventually see Linda breaks up with the boyfriend and she's fully in with Gia. They actually go to Gia. Gia comes to pick her up one day and she's like, get in my brand new car because, like you said, there was the head of Vogue was trying to find a new face. They found Gia, they put her on the cover of Vogue. And so now there she gets a car, she's got money. She picks up Linda and she's like, where are we going? Philadelphia. And she's like, what? Kidnapped without consent. She goes to her mother's house and they're flirty with each other. She introduces her mother. This is my girlfriend. Her mom is not, it's not clicking.
Well, because
What's
her
not
mom is still
clicking?
like, have you met a man yet? And Gia's like,
Right.
this is my girlfriend, Mom. She's like, oh, it's nice to have friends.
She's not, it's not clicking. Eventually she gets on board, but
Yeah.
like at first she's just like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And Linda is having to deal with Gia's erratic behavior,
Yes.
the attempt at rehab that she goes to rehab. I get confused with the two times that she goes,
Hmm.
but the first time she has Linda's support. Linda
Yes.
says, if you, we can be together, but you have to go to rehab. So
Yes.
that's when she decides to go.
And
Uh,
she's on methadone. It seems like she's doing well for a while.
Yes. And when she does this, she was still at Wilhelmina's agency with the husband running it. And
Hmm.
when she goes to rehab, they get really pissed with her. So she doesn't have the agency anymore.
Yeah.
When she gets out, she's tempted to do the drugs again.
Yeah.
After, like you said, months of her being clean. And then she thinks, okay, I got to get back to work.
Yeah.
So that's when she goes back to the other agent and does the 2020 special and whatnot. And Linda's like, I can't be rolling with this. At one point, she gives her an ultimatum. She's like, it's either me or the drugs. Could you imagine you're with someone? First and foremost, and the knowledge we have now, we know that that's not even something that you can really, when someone has an addiction,
Put upon
it's
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like that psychologically for them. They
Right.
can't even help it at that point. And
Well,
but
at this point, because Gia is a full-blown addict,
yeah.
like she literally can't stop or go, like
Mm-mm.
she needs some sort of medical intervention to wean her off of the drugs.
Yeah. The scenes where they show her, you know, the scene where they show her just in the rehab and like going to withdrawal was just like really rough to watch,
Yeah.
even in just small clips. But after that scene, Gia and Linda are done.
Hmm.
And the reason that it gets like this is because she steals from her mom. She has run in with the law. Linda has to get her out of jail. Like it's just no good.
And that's all, like Gia is doing well staying at her mom's the second time she goes to rehab. But she calls Linda and the boyfriend answers. And that's when Gia spirals again and steals all the money, goes and gets drugs,
That was
steals
the
mom's
first.
car.
That was the first
Was
rehab.
that the first rehab?
It was because she was like, I literally, he was coming to get the stuff. I was
Yeah.
coming back to your mom's because Linda had been going back and forth to the
Yeah.
house. So that was the first rehab. The
Okay.
second rehab that she does, she's, her mom is supporting her, but she has to call Linda. She's making amends with
Mm,
everybody. But in the midst of like her still being on the drugs, the guy from the beginning, he comes to check on her
mm-hmm.
and she slices his hand and this is who he takes her to rehab and at this point she
Mm,
has no more money. She's really not in a good place. She physically doesn't even look well and the state lets her go to rehab
mm-hmm.
and that's when she reaches out to Linda to make amends and At some point, she relapses again, but the story goes in real life that she wanted to overdose. She wanted to kill herself at this point.
Mm.
And she goes to try to find some drugs and runs into a situation where I feel like they allude to that she was raped, but
Mm.
this guy beats her really badly.
Well,
And
bef before that, I think, is when she's introduced to intravenous drugs.
right, yeah,
Because she's at the photo shoot and she's starting to get dope sick.
yeah.
And she tries to send someone to go buy drugs for her. And the lady is just like,
Oh, you're on that stuff. You look great. I love to see the white in your eyes. Like
yeah,
it's crazy what
crazy.
happens.
And she's like, "Oh, you're riding the dragon." I was like, "What is happening here? Like, why is this so normalized? I hate
Everybody was doing
it."
cocaine though.
Yeah. So, but the lady's taking too long, and the photo shoot is like a geisha shoot, which questionable to begin with. But then it's like there's a part where she's like on the back of this motorcycle, and they've told her like this is a couture gown, like you can't do anything to it. Like it is so expensive, blah blah blah. Gia doesn't care. She just wants her fix, and so she's on the back of the motorcycle taking pictures, and then all of a sudden, somehow she convinces motorcycle man to just drive her to the other side of town so she can get her fix.
And that's when she's introduced to intravenous by some random man. And this is the 80s, so this is like I don't even think when she was doing the drugs, they like even knew what AIDS was at the time. But
No.
by the end, when she's off the drugs, you see her kind of deteriorating. She probably already has AIDS, even
Mm.
though she is off the drugs. So it's like when she goes to make amends, it's almost like she's saying goodbye because she gives Linda all of her journals and
Linda.
diaries. She says, "You were always the one," like, which I feel like Linda should have been like, this feels kind of final, but it
Yeah.
wasn't definitely clicking for her. And that's when the whole situation is. So they take her to the hospital. And so they don't say it in the movie, but there's signs that, like, the way that they were treating it, like, it was
An infectious disease.
right. They
Yeah.
didn't know. So they had her kind of in isolation.
Everyone's
You,
in like hazmat suits.
yes. So you
Really, the
see.
only one that's not is her mom.
Her mom and then her dad and her brothers, they're not either. So you see her deteriorating her, body, the scabs. Like she gets no in real life, she got pneumonia, like
Mm.
most people did at the time when they transitioned from HIV to AIDS. And then she passes away.
Mm.
So you kind of see her in her old, like one of her older shoots, like in white. She looks, like she's gonna go to heaven as a
Hmm.
supermodel. But it's quite sad. It really, truly, truly sad.
He ended up dying at age 26 from AIDS-related complications. And then the end scene in the credits, most of the photographs that are displayed are images of the real Gia rather than recreation of the production stills. So, paying homage to her. There are quotes that are taken out of her journals that are sprinkled throughout the
The
film
movie.
as well.
What's really sad is at the time of her death in real life, nobody from the fashion world came to her funeral.
That's awful.
Yeah. And sadly, that is Gia. Let's see if we have any other facts left.
Several scenes were filmed in locations intended to recreate the fashion industry environment of the late 70s and early 1980s New York.
During production, Angelina Jolie reportedly connected strongly with Gia's story and kept several personal items associated with the character after filming. And Angelina found the intensity of playing a drug-addicted lesbian so extreme that she deliberately sought out a normal heterosexual role for her next film that proved to be Mike Newell's Pushing Tin, which, funny enough, was her finding Billy Bob Thornton and marrying him.
Yes.
And I think Angelina Jolie also was a great person for this role because she is a bisexual woman. I think that she added some truth to the character.
Mhm.
Like it almost, I could understand why she didn't want to, she was nervous about playing the role because it was so intense. And I think she really does dive into these characters
Mhm. And
and it's hard to like pull them apart. Yeah.
I think she saw a lot of herself in Gia. And
Hmm.
so, like, that separation of like, where does Gia end and Angelina begins could be blurred. I
Yeah.
could totally see that. Films, costume, and makeup departments work to recreate many of Gia's real life photo shoots and modeling looks based on archival photographs. Let's talk about the awards. The movie remains one of HBO's most awarded original biographical films. Angelina Jolie won Best Actress at the Golden Globes that year. Dunaway won Best Supporting Actress at the Golden Globes. Angelina Jolie won for Outstanding Female Actor in a Television Movie or Miniseries at the Screen Actors Guild. Outstanding Directorial Achievement at the Directors Guild of America Award went to Michael Christopher. And then Outstanding Single Camera Picture Editing from the Primetime Emmy Awards. It also had multiple other nominations as well. So, highly regarded for its acting, screenplay, and directing. And then this leads into Angelina's next big role, which was Girl Interrupted. And for that, she won the Oscar.
Yeah, the next year, which is it's crazy that they filmed this in 2 months. Like
Right?
what? The nuts. Well, before we get into our today ratings, our ratings rewind, don't forget to hit us up at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. Do you remember Gia? Were you watching it live like us? Have you never heard of this? Let us know. All right, Jackie, what is your present day rating?
Like I said, I just wanted to dive in more to the situations and her mental health and her like there even her relationships with like her mom and Wilhelmina and Linda felt kind of surface. So
Yeah.
I wish it kind of dug a little bit deeper. I'll probably go 2-day rental. It's not something that I feel like resonates as much with me anymore. Like I respect the story being told, but it's not something I'm gonna go back to probably.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice if they kind of what told us like like we didn't see how she was discovered. We didn't hear how she first realized that she had AIDS and what
Hmm.
that was like and everything was kind of like very glossed over on some of the big moments, I guess you
Hmm.
could say. And Angelina did carry this film on her back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay with the 2-day rental. I do think the story is still important, but maybe if they redid it, I would be interested to see.
Yeah. And hit us up at our quick drop if you have any comments about Gia or any of the other movies that we've done. You can call or text into 909-601-6653 and you could be featured on a future episode.
And we are ending Pride Month next week with the Broken Hearts Club.
And as always, be kind and rewind.